The entire Bible, Mike Murdock here, the entire Bible works by a reward system. Every time God gave an instruction, he explained the reward. One of the greatest chapters in the Bible is Deuteronomy chapter 28, 14 verses, first 14. And God didn't say, because I love you, I'm going to give you a debt-free home. I'm going to give you a new car. He never said that. He said, if you obey my laws. I teach on 72 laws that are in the Bible. The law of focus, don't look to the right or to the left. The law of two. Two are better than one. Easy. 3 or 4 cords not easily broken. The law of peace. Agree with your adversary quickly. The law of adaptation. Withhold not good from them to whom it's due, when it's in the power of your hand to do it. For God so loved the world, John 3:16, that he gave. One of the 12 proofs of love is the passion to give to somebody you love. Today I took my wife, Christina, to a Brazil steakhouse. As you know, she's from Brazil. She was a lawyer there for the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. And she speaks Portuguese, Spanish, and English. And I wrote this morning a list of 7 things she could choose which one she would like to do. We would go to the Brazil steakhouse. I would buy her clothes at Nordstrom's if she'd like. We would go to, and I gave her 7 lists, and I say, this is our love day. Every Saturday is love day in my life. It's dedicated to loving my Christina. There's a reward for being loved. There's a reward for doing right. There's a reward for kindness. There's a reward for gentleness. And I told one of my pastors a few minutes ago, I said, I think I need to say what's missing in your reward system. My mother was writing out a check for me one night, and I tried to reject it. I didn't want it. I said, Mother, I've got plenty. I'll bless you. She said, son, your dad prays all day long, but all the money goes to your house. And she says, there is something God's put on your life. She said many, many times, I don't want to live in a world without Mike in it. I love that phrase. She said, I don't want to live in a world without Mike in it. But I started giving her part of my money when I was 12 years old, throwing papers. Let me say this. It's not preached. Everybody wants to tell you about hell, but nobody wants to tell you about money. Everybody wants to tell you, if you do this wrong, you do that wrong, you do that wrong, you're going to go to hell. But almost nobody preaches about Luke 6:38. Almost nobody is teaching 2 Corinthians 9, verse 6. Almost nobody is reading Malachi 3. I will open the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing that you don't have room enough to receive. And I said, well, Mama, Daddy's given his whole life, and he deserves the best. But he was never taught the law of sowing and reaping. You know what's crazy? It's the one law that's undoubtable. If you see trees, that's the law of the seed and the harvest. Every morning, redbirds flood my backyard. 4 or 5 of them stay here every day. That's proof of a harvest. Squirrels run up and down the trees here in my backyard every day. That's the proof of a harvest. Every time you see a child, that's proof of a seed and a harvest. There has to be a blindness, because you don't have to have the brain of a turtle to know there's a harvest on the earth. What Jesus taught in Malachi 3, he said, honor me with your substance. Not yelling out, hallelujah, I love you, Jesus. He said, honor me with substance, and I will stand against your adversaries. I will open the windows of heaven and pour you out a harvest. Ideas. You mean an idea is a harvest? 7:15 in prayer. God gave me an idea. After I planted an $8,500 seed, Rod Parsley's life. 2 weeks later, 7:15, on a Wednesday morning, God gave me an idea. I shared it with a friend. He said, let me introduce that idea you just had to Walmart and Kmart and Hallmark. I said, okay. One of my first checks from Walmart, Kmart, one of my first checks from my idea was over 100,000. I think it was 106,000, something like that, just for one idea. Mick Jagger, the famous rock and roll, just put one of my songs on a movie that he's making and sent me a beautiful check, seed and harvest. Brother Mike, I've never been taught that we should sow for a harvest. No, you don't sow for a harvest from the person where you sowed. But if he comes back, he says, Luke 6, give. What will happen? I'll love you. No, and I will cause men to give back to you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together. Brother Mike, have you ever given something to somebody and they weren't thankful? Every day of my life. I sow seeds every day of my life that I don't see an immediate harvest to. I only know that in the course of time, Genesis 8:22, Psalms 84 verse 11, Luke 6:38, Mark chapter 10, and the 100-fold return in houses and lands. Father, I don't know why I'm so stirred tonight, but if I never have another opportunity to teach on the earth, I ask you for 300 millionaires under my ministry. You've given me 56. Father, would you finish this for me, with me? I ask you to raise up 300 people who will become millionaires with a testimony like mine of how great our God is. Sow what you have. Love, adaptation, kindness, time, invest hours. Everything is a seed if you sow it. Everything is a harvest if you keep it. What you keep is your harvest.